James thought he was being smart. He bought a 3.2 million peso condo in Makati. Real estate always appreciates, he told himself. This is my retirement investment. 5 years later, he sold it for 2.8 million pesos, lost 400,000 pesos plus 850,000 pesos in association dues, maintenance, and fees he hadn't budgeted for. Total loss, 1.25 million pesos. That's $22,500 gone. Michael also thought he understood the rules. He invested 950,000 pesos in a business partnership with his girlfriend's family, owned 60% on paper. When the business failed and he tried to recover his investment, he discovered he legally owned nothing. Foreigners can't own more than 40% in that business type. His paperwork was worthless. 950,000 pesos vanished. $17,100 gone. Robert budgeted 80,000 pesos monthly for retirement in the Philippines. Plenty of money, he thought. Then he got dengue fever. 3 days in a private hospital, 380,000 pesos. He had no insurance. His emergency fund gone in 72 hours. Right now, across the Philippines, thousands of foreigners are making costly mistakes that will destroy their retirement savings, force them to leave the country, or trap them here broke with no way out. Most think they're being careful. Most think they've done their research, but most of them are wrong. Welcome to Journals Beyond Horizons. Today I'm exposing the 7 most expensive mistakes foreigners make in the Philippines. Mistakes that have cost the expats I've interviewed and spoken to a combined $2.3 million over the past 3 years. This isn't about scaring you away from the Philippines. This isn't anti-expat content. What this is, a financial protection guide showing you the specific mistakes that bankrupt unprepared foreigners so you can avoid them before they destroy your deserved retirement. I've been documenting expat life here for 3 years. I've interviewed over 90 plus foreigners living in Metro Manila, Cebu, Davao and provincial areas. Some are thriving, some are broke, some had to leave the country because they ran out of money. The mistakes, they're remarkably predictable, and they're completely avoidable if you know what to watch for. In this video we'll be talking about the 7 most expensive mistakes destroying expat finances. Real case studies with actual amounts lost, specific warning signs for each mistake, how to protect your retirement savings while still enjoying life here. The critical legal and financial rules foreigners miss. Before we dive in, understand this. The Philippines is an incredible place to live. Lower cost of living, beautiful locations, warm people, great weather. But it has financial traps specifically designed, sometimes intentionally, sometimes by accident, to separate foreigners from their money. The difference between expats who thrive here and expats who go broke isn't luck, it's knowledge. Let me give you that knowledge. Let's start with the biggest money trap, the one that catches the most people. Mistake number 1, buying a condo thinking it's an investment. You arrive in the Philippines, you're renting, your landlord, your real estate agent, your girlfriend, random people at expat meetups, they all say the same thing. Why rent? Buy a condo, real estate always goes up. It's an investment, it sounds logical. In the US, UK, Australia, Canada, real estate has been a solid investment for decades. Buy property, it appreciates, you build equity. So you buy a 3 to 4 million peso condo in Makati, BGC, or Cebu ET Park. You feel smart, you feel secure. You're investing instead of throwing money away on rent. Here's the reality nobody tells you. For foreigners, Philippine condos are rarely investments. They are consumption items disguised as assets, and they often depreciate. Real case study, James, the American retiree. James, 62, a retired accountant from California, moved to Manila in 2017 with $280,000 in retirement savings. He rented for 6 months, then his real estate agent convinced him, buy now while prices are good. This area is developing fast. He bought a 45 square meter condo in Makati for 3.2 million pesos. The cost he expected, purchase price, 3,200,000 pesos. Annual association dues, 28,000 pesos. Annual property tax, 15,000 pesos. The costs he didn't expect, over 5 years, association dues, which increased every year, 175,000 pesos. Property tax, 82,000 pesos. Special assessments, for building repairs and renovations, 100,000 pesos condo insurance, 73,000 pesos. Total unexpected costs, 430,000 pesos. In 2022, James needed to liquidate for medical reasons. But the market had changed. Oversupply of condos in Makati demand from foreigners had dropped. His building was now older compared to new developments. He sold the condo for 2.8 million pesos, a 400,000 peso loss on the purchase price. On top of that, he paid 140,000 pesos in real estate agent commissions. So, let's break down the true financial outcome. The loss. He lost 540,000 pesos on the property itself, 400,000 pesos depreciation plus 140,000 pesos commission. The savings, he spent 430,000 pesos on ownership costs instead of 1,500,000 pesos on rent, saving 1,070,000 pesos. Here's the critical point. While he saved on housing costs, he wiped out nearly half of those savings with the loss on the condo. His net financial gain from owning versus renting was only about 530,000 pesos, and for that, he trapped his 3.2 million pesos capital in a illiquid, depreciating asset and took on all the risk and headaches. Renting would have given him the same roof over his head with total freedom, liquidity and zero surprise costs. And these are the main reasons why Philippine condos are not investments. 1. Massive oversupply. Developers build condos targeting overseas Filipino workers and foreign buyers. Supply far exceeds demand in most markets, prices stagnate or decline, especially in investor-heavy buildings. 2. High ongoing costs. Association dues increase 10 to 20% every few years. Special assessments hit randomly, 50,000 to 200,000 bills. Maintenance is constant in tropical climate 3. Difficult to sell, takes 6 to 18 months to find buyers. Buyers negotiate hard, know you're desperate if you're selling. Foreign sellers often take 10 to 20% losses just to exit 4. Rental income is terrible. If you rent it out, 20,000 to 30,000 pesos per month typical. But you're paying 35,000 to 45,000 pesos in annual dues, plus maintenance, plus taxes, plus management. Net rental yield, 2 to 3% annually. That's a terrible return from my point of view. 5. You can't own land as a foreigner. Condo is your only real estate option. No land appreciation to offset building depreciation. You're stuck in the worst performing real estate category. This mistake works because real estate feels safe compared to stocks or other investments. Everyone around you reinforces it. Stop renting. Developers have beautiful showrooms and slick sales tactics. It feels like building equity, but you're actually losing value. Just rent. Seriously, unless you're planning to live in that exact unit for 15 plus years minimum. Okay, with losing 20 to 30% of your investment, comfortable with 40,000 to 60,000 pesos annual costs beyond mortgage, certain you'll never want to move cities, or if you have a family, wife, children, then consider buying. Mistake number 2, the 40% ownership trap. You're in a relationship and your partner has a can't-lose business idea, or maybe a Filipino friend approaches you with a great opportunity. The pitch is always similar. Foreigners can own 60%. You put up the capital, I'll handle the operations. It's legal and it's simple. It sounds fair. You invest 500,000 pesos, 800,000 pesos, maybe over $1 million. You get official-looking paperwork stating you own 60%. You feel secure. Here is the catastrophic flaw in that logic, that 60% ownership document can be completely worthless under Philippine law. The law is not as ambiguous as people claim. The Foreign Investments Act and the Retail Trade Liberalization Act are very clear for small and medium-sized businesses. Here's the simple breakdown. For most common businesses, restaurants, retail shops, construction, agriculture, foreign ownership is capped at 40% unless you meet a very high capital requirement. For a restaurant or retail business, you need a minimum of $2.5 million, approximately 140 million pesos in paid-up capital for a foreigner to own more than 40%. The trap isn't that the law is confusing. The trap is that you're being told your small business is an exception when it almost certainly is not. When the business fails or the relationship sours, the legal system will see your 60% stake for what it is, illegal and unenforceable. Your investment becomes an unenforceable gift. You have no legal claim to the assets or your capital. Let's talk about Michael, the British investor. Michael, 58, a retired expat from London, met Maricel, 36, who was college educated and business savvy. She proposed a small restaurant in Quezon City. The deal, Michael's investment, 950,000 pesos for equipment, renovation licenses, ownership, 60% Michael, 40% Maricel Michael, as silent partner while Maricel runs day-to-day operations. The critical mistake was Michael used a lawyer recommended by Maricel's. The lawyer assured him the 60-40 split was fine for a small restaurant. They signed the papers and Michael transferred the money. For 10 months the business struggled but showed promise. Then Maricel reported a sudden drop in revenue, blaming new competition. She requested an additional 180,000 pesos for marketing. Michael sent it, bringing his total investment to 1,130,000 pesos. 2 months later, Maricel vanished. The restaurant was closed, the equipment was gone. Michael now hired his own independent lawyer. The assessment was brutal. Your ownership structure is illegal. The law requires a 140 million peso investment for a foreigner to own more than 40% of a restaurant. Your 1.1 million peso venture never qualified. Your 60% stake was void from the start. Maricel committed fraud, but you have no legal standing to sue because you were never a legal owner. Michael's options was 1. Pursue criminal fraud charges. A 3 to 5 year process costing 300,000 pesos, plus with a low chance of success. 2. Walk away. He walked away. Total loss, 1,130,000 pesos, $20,350. Why this trap is so effective? It mostly depends on ignorance, and many people don't bother to make research. 1. The capital lie. You're told a small business qualifies for an exception it can't possibly afford. Selective enforcement. The illegal structure is tolerated until there's a dispute, then it becomes the perfect weapon against you. Emotional trust. You trust your partner, so you skip the crucial step of independent legal counsel. Asymmetric risk. When things go wrong, the law interprets the situation entirely in the local's favour. The only safe protection strategies. Option 1. The safest path. Just say no. Do not invest in Philippine businesses. Your retirement savings are for your retirement, not for funding high-risk ventures in a complex legal environment. Option 2. If you absolutely must invest, hire your own lawyer, a reputable firm with no connection to your partner. This is supposed to be common knowledge if you're going into business in anywhere and with anyone, even if it's with your best friend or sibling. Next, stick to 40%. Never accept more than the legal maximum in restricted sectors. Invest only in fully allowed sectors such as export, IT/BPO, or manufacturing for export. Do not gamble your financial security on a business you cannot legally control. Mistake number 3, the family financial black hole. You meet a Filipina. The relationship feels genuine, and it very well may be. You learn about her family, elderly parents, siblings in low-income jobs, nieces and nephews needing support. You think, I'll help occasionally. Maybe 10,000 to 15,000 pesos a month. That's reasonable. Here's what most people don't understand. You are not just dating one person, you are adopting a financial obligation to an entire clan of 8 to 15 people, and this obligation will last until your savings are gone if you do not take any action. The cultural reality of Filipino culture, family support is not optional, it's a core social duty. If your partner's family needs help and you have resources, the pressure to provide is immense. This isn't necessarily a scam, but it's a cultural expectation that can financially destroy unprepared foreigners. The slippery slope, how it happens months 1 to 3, no requests, everything seems perfect. Month 4, a small genuine emergency. My father needs medicine. 8,000 pesos. You help. Month 6, a necessary asset breaks. My brother's motorcycle for work needs repair. 18,000 pesos. You help. Month 8, an educational need. My sister's tuition is due. 25,000 pesos. You help. Month 10, a major health crisis. My mother needs hospitalization. 65,000 pesos. You can't say no. By the end of the first year, you are the family's primary financial safety net, and the requests never stop. And why this trap is so effective is because each request seems reasonable in isolation. They are often genuine emergencies, not fabricated scams. Saying no feels deeply cruel and strains the relationship. The cultural pressure on your partner is immense. There is no natural endpoint. Poverty is a series of endless emergencies. The hard truth that the successful ones here have accepted, and that's what you must accept. Her family survived before you arrived. They had other means, borrowing from neighbours and other relatives, delaying non-critical medical care, taking on extra work or side hustles, making severe sacrifices on non-essentials, relying on government assistance and community help. They don't need you to survive. They have become dependent on you because you are the path of least resistance. Protection strategy I recommend is to set boundaries early. Before the relationship gets serious, set a non-negotiable monthly family support budget. Then you must stick to it religiously, just like a ritual. When a request exceeds the budget, your response must be consistent. I understand this is an emergency, but I've already allocated this month's family support. Can this wait until next month, or can the family pool resources to find another solution? The brutal final question. You must ask yourself this honestly. If I lost all my money tomorrow, would she still be by my side? If the answer is no, or I'm not sure, then you are not in a relationship. You are most likely in a financial transaction. But it's fine, honestly, just ensure you don't go broke. Mistake number 4, healthcare insurance mistakes. You move to the Philippines. You're healthy. You're 55, 60, 65. You feel fine. Healthcare is cheap here, you've heard. A doctor's visit is around 500 pesos. Medicines are affordable. You'll just pay out of pocket and save money by not buying expensive insurance. Then, for example, you get dengue, or have a heart attack, or need emergency surgery. Suddenly you're facing a 300,000 to 800,000 peso hospital bill with no insurance. Your emergency fund, gone. Your retirement savings, devastated. Your visa status at risk because you can't prove financial capacity anymore. Before we move on, let's talk about Robert. The Canadian retiree Robert, 67, retired engineer from Toronto, moved to Cebu in 2019 with $160,000 in savings, $2,400 per month pension. He researched healthcare costs. Doctor consultation, 800 to 1,500 pesos. Common medicines, 500 to 2,000 pesos per month dental work, 3,000 to 8,000 pesos seemed very affordable. He decided to skip health insurance and self-insure. I'll save 60,000 to 80,000 pesos yearly in premiums, he thought. Year 1 to 2, this strategy worked perfectly. He spent maybe 25,000 pesos yearly on routine medical care. He'd saved 120,000 pesos by not buying insurance. Year 3, month 4. Robert felt unusually tired, weak, feverish. He went to a clinic. Doctor suspected dengue, told him to go to hospital immediately if symptoms worsened. That night, his fever spiked to 40 degrees Celsius. He went to Cebu Doctors University Hospital emergency room. Diagnosis: severe dengue with low platelet count, required hospitalization and monitoring. 3 days in private hospital. Emergency room, 18,000 pesos. Private room, 3 nights. 12,000 pesos per night equals 36,000 pesos laboratory test, CBC, platelet monitoring, dengue test. 42,000 pesos IV fluids and medications, 68,000 pesos doctor's fees, 35,000 pesos hospital miscellaneous, nursing, supplies, monitoring, 45,000 pesos, total bill, 244,000 pesos, 4,400. Robert paid it from his emergency fund. It hurt, but he could afford it, of course. Year 3, month 9, Robert had chest pains, severe, radiating to his arm. His neighbor rushed him to the same hospital. Diagnosis: heart attack, required emergency angioplasty, stent placement, emergency cardiac care costs, emergency room and stabilization, 28,000 pesos. Angioplasty procedure, 285,000 pesos. Stent, X2, 180,000 pesos. ICU, 2 days, 35,000 pesos per day. Peso 70,000 cardiac monitoring and tests, 95,000 pesos. Medications, 48,000 pesos. Cardiologist fees, 85,000 pesos. Hospital room, 4 days, 48,000 pesos. Total bill, 839,000 pesos, $15,100. Robert's emergency fund was already depleted from dengue. He paid from his retirement savings. Combined medical costs in 1 year, 1,083,000 pesos, $19,500. His $160,000 retirement savings dropped to $140,500 in 1 year, just from 2 medical events. Now Robert needed ongoing cardiac care, monthly medications, 8,500 pesos, quarterly cardiologist checkups, 6,000 pesos, annual stress tests and monitoring, 25,000 pesos, ongoing costs, 130,000 pesos per year and 2,340. And here's where it got worse. Robert tried to buy health insurance after his heart attack. Every insurer rejected him. Pre-existing cardiac condition, age 68, high-risk patient. He was now uninsurable, stuck paying all future medical costs, out of pocket with a heart condition that will require expensive care for the rest of his life. When I spoke with Robert, he was terrified. If I have another heart attack or need bypass surgery or develop complications, I'll be completely broke. I can't afford 1 to 2 million pesos in cardiac surgery, and I can't leave the Philippines because I can't afford US healthcare either. I'm trapped. The healthcare insurance reality in Philippines. If you're under 60 and healthy, insurance costs 60,000 to 100,000 pesos per year for very decent coverage. Seems expensive, but one hospitalization pays for 3 to 5 years of premiums. If you're 60 to 70, insurance costs 100,000 to 180,000 pesos per year. Many conditions excluded pre-existing conditions not covered. If you're over 70, very few insurers will cover you. Costs 180,000 to 300,000 pesos per year. Coverage is very limited. If you wait until you're sick, you are most likely not getting insurance. Period. Common medical costs in Philippines. Dengue hospitalization, 150,000 to 350,000 pesos. Heart attack, angioplasty, 500,000 to 1,200,000 pesos. Stroke treatment, 400,000 to 900,000. Cancer treatment, 800,000 to 3 million plus hip knee replacement, 450,000 to 850,000. Bypass surgery, 1,200,000 to 2 million protection strategy. Buy health insurance before you need it. Options are 1. International health insurance covers Philippines and worldwide costs, $2,000 to $5,000 per year depending on age. Best coverage accepted everywhere. Examples: Cigna Global, Allianz, IMG2. Local Philippine insurance companies: Maxcare, Medicard, Philcare, Pacific Cross costs, 60,000 to 180,000 pesos per year depending on age and coverage. Covers private hospitals in Philippines. More affordable than International 3, Medicare plus travel insurance for Americans. Medicare doesn't cover overseas, but supplemental travel insurance can cover emergencies, should cost around $1,500 to $3,000 per year. What to look for? Hospitalization coverage, minimum 2 million pesos per year. Emergency room coverage, outpatient coverage for routine care coverage at reputable private hospitals, Makati Med, St. Luke's, Cebu Doctors. Reasonable deductibles, 50,000 to 100,000 pesos. Do not wait until you're sick to buy insurance. You'll most likely be rejected if you're ready to spend quite a lot of money. Assume government hospitals are adequate. Quality varies wildly. Think you can just fly home for treatment. You can't fly with heart attack, stroke, severe illness. Believe 200,000 pesos emergency fund is enough. It's not for serious illness. Healthcare is cheap in Philippines for routine care. It's devastatingly expensive for serious care. And serious care happens to everyone eventually. Heart attack, stroke, cancer, accidents, dengue, infections. These don't care about your budget. One hospitalization without insurance can destroy your entire retirement savings. Don't gamble with your health. Don't become a medical bankruptcy statistic. Buy insurance while you're still healthy enough to qualify. Mistake number 5, the visa gamble. You arrive on a 30-day tourist visa, fall in love with the country and decide to stay. Someone says, just do visa runs. Leave every 59 days and come back. Or just extend your tourist visa monthly. It's cheap and easy. Here's the reality they don't tell you. Using a tourist visa for long-term residence is illegal. While sometimes tolerated, immigration can deny your extension, refuse your entry, or deport you at any time. When they do, you have no recourse. Real case study happened last year. This is about Thomas. The American digital nomad Thomas, 41, a software developer from Seattle, found the Philippines perfect for his remote work. He adopted a risky visa strategy. Enter on a 30-day tourist visa. Extend monthly at the Bureau of Immigration for around 3,000 pesos. After 10 to 11 months, do a quick visa run to Hong Kong. Return and repeat. Years 1 to 2. The strategy worked flawlessly. He spent 66,660 pesos on extensions and 45,000 pesos on visa runs. He felt clever, saving money on a proper visa. Year 3, 4th month. The gamble failed. At his next extension, an officer reviewed his passport, filled with 31 previous extensions. Officer: Sir, you're not a tourist. You're living here illegally. This is your final extension. You have 59 days to get a proper visa or leave. Thomas panicked. He researched his options and found he had none. Work visa, 9G. Required a Philippine employer. He worked for a US company. SRRV, minimum age is 50. He was 41. Quota visa. Only 50 slots per year for Americans. Costly and very uncertain. Spousal visa. He wasn't in a relationship. Day 58. He flew to Thailand hoping to reset his status. Upon returning to Manila, immigration denied him entry. Officer: 32 extensions in 3 years. Entry denied. He was put on the next flight out. Trying again through Cebu 2 weeks later yielded the same result. He was flagged in the system. Thomas lost money from visa extensions, visa runs, denied entry flights, belongings due to the rush. The Bureau of Immigration has absolute discretion. They can deny any visa extension, deny you entry at the border, deport you and ban you for 1 to 3 years. There is no effective appeals process. Legal long-term visa. Options: SRRV, Special Resident Retirees Visa, for retirees aged 40 plus or 35 plus with a larger deposit. Yes, the 40 plus years took effect on September 1st, 2025. So if you're 40 years old, you're eligible for this. Cost: 840,000 pesos plus refundable deposit plus 126,500 pesos plus in fees. Note that the deposit requirement can be much higher depending on the applicant's age and pension status. Benefit: legal permanent residency. No more visa runs. And also SRRV holders are also exempt from various taxes and fees, including the Bureau of Immigration's annual report and travel tax, if you stay in the country for less than 1 year from your last entry. 13. A spousal visa. For those legally married to a Filipino citizen. Cost: around 50,000 to 100,000 pesos in fees. Benefit: pathway to permanent residency. Other complex options are quota visa, extremely limited, slow and expensive. Work investor visas. Require a local employer or a $75,000 plus investment. You should also do research, very important. Let's talk about protection strategy. If staying 1+ years, get a proper visa before you are flagged. Right now, if you're 40 plus, the SRRV is your best and most cost-effective option. Stop gambling. Your entire stay in the Philippines can end with a single stamp in your passport. Get the right visa and protect your future. Mistake number 6, bank transfer and money transfer mistakes. You need to transfer money to Philippines regularly for living expenses, property purchases, emergencies, supporting your partner. You use your regular US, UK, Australian bank wire transfer, or you use the first money transfer service you find online. What you don't realize, you're losing 3 to 7% of every transfer to terrible exchange rates, hidden fees, and slow processing times. These little money add up, and before you know it, you lost 500,000 pesos, or even more. Obvious situation of Kenneth. The American retiree Kenneth, 64, retired sales manager from Texas. $2,600 per month Social Security equals 144,500 Philippine pesos. He transfers his pension to Philippines monthly using Bank of America wire transfer to BDO, his Philippine bank. Wire transfer fee, $45. That's it, simple. For Kenneth's transfer costs, reality, month 1 transfer, $2,600. Bank of America wire fee, $45 Bank of America exchange rate, 1 USD equals 1 USD, 54.20 Philippine pesos. They claim amount received in BDO, 138,920 Philippine pesos. But wait, the real exchange rate that day, 1 US dollar equals 55.80 Philippine pesos. What Kenneth should have received, 2,555 pesos, times 55.80 equals 142,571 Philippine pesos. What he actually received, 138,920 Philippine pesos. Hidden loss, 3,651 pesos, $65.44 per month. Kenneth is losing 2.6% of every transfer to bad exchange rates, beyond the $45 wire fee. Over 5 years, monthly hidden loss, 3,651 pesos, times 60 months equals 219,060 pesos. Wire transfer fees, $45, times 60 equals $2,700, equals 150,300 pesos. Total 5-year loss, 369,360 pesos, $6,631. Kenneth had no idea he was losing this much. He thought the $45 fee was the only cost. Why this happens? Banks make money on exchange rate spreads, the difference between the real mid-market rate and the rate they give you. Example, mid-market rate, what you see on Google. 1 USD equals 55.80 Philippine pesos. Bank of America gives you 1 USD equals 54.20. Philippine pesos, BOFA keeps the difference. 1.60 Philippine pesos per dollar equals 2.9% hidden fee. Might look irrelevant, but don't forget that you're paying this hidden fee on every dollar transferred, plus the wire fee. Better transfer options. Option 1. Wise, formerly TransferWise, uses real mid-market exchange rate transparent fees, 0.5 to 1.2% total fast. 1 to 3 days online/app. Based Kenneth's transfer using Wise Transfer, $2,600 Wise fee, $18, 0.7%. Exchange rate 55.80. Real mid-market rate. Received 143,906 pesos savings versus Bank of America, 4,986 pesos per month, equals 299,160 pesos per year. Over 5 years, 1,495,800 pesos saved. That's roughly 1,495,800 pesos saved. $26,810. Option 2, Remitly. Some of you might have heard of it or even use it. Competitive rates for US or Canada, UK to Philippines fees. 0 to 3% depending on speed. Fast, hours to 2 days promo rates often available, and there are other options like Western Union, OFW Bank, overseas Filipino worker banks, and also cryptocurrency might be a bit advanced for some. For those that are not comfortable with crypto, you don't have to stress it. Just by spending 5 minutes to set up your Remitly account today, you can save yourself quite a lot of money. Stop using terrible bank transfers. Switch to smart transfer services today. Mistake number 7, the vehicle ownership trap. You're tired of ride-hailing apps and public transport. You want the freedom of your own wheels. Surely buying a car in the Philippines, where costs are lower, is a smart financial move, right? That's wrong. For most expats, vehicle ownership is a financial black hole that drains 2 to 3 times more cash than expected. Let me tell you about Richard, British expat. 58, was spending 18,000 pesos per month on Grab. Then he decided to buy a car to save money. The purchase, 2019 Toyota Vios, 620,000 pesos. Transfer and registration, 28,000 pesos. Total initial outlay, 648,000 pesos. His projected annual cost, 184,000 pesos. Fuel, 12,000 pesos per month. Insurance, 25,000 pesos per year. Maintenance, 15,000 pesos per year. The harsh reality, year 1, 330,700 pesos fuel, drove more than planned. So 174,000 pesos insurance, 28,000 pesos. Registration, 8,200 pesos. Oil changes, 16,000 pesos. New tires, 32,000 pesos. AC repair, 18,000 pesos. Minor accident, 25,000 pesos. Car wash detailing, 9,000 pesos. Parking and tolls, 20,500 pesos. Plus brutal depreciation purchase price, 648,000 pesos value. After 1 year, 580,000 pesos. Year 1 depreciation, 68,000 pesos. Now let's look at his year 1 true cost. It was 398,700 pesos, more than double his estimate. That's 3 years of financial bleeding. Year 1, 398,700 pesos at the second year, 381,500 pesos, including a 95,000 peso transmission repair. At the third, around 313,000 pesos total spent over those 3 years, 1,093,200 pesos operating, plus 648,000 pesos. Purchase equals 1,741,200 pesos. And he eventually sold the car for 480,000 pesos. The final tally, ownership versus grab. Let's compare the net financial outcome after 3 years. The own scenario, he has 480,000 pesos from the car's sale. He spent 1,741,200 pesos to buy and run it. Net position, negative 1,261,200 pesos. The grab scenario, he would have spent 648,000 pesos on rides, 18,000 pesos times 36 months. His original 648,000 peso car budget remains in his bank account. Net position, 0 pesos. He has his capital intact and spent money on a service. The real cost of independence. By choosing to own, Richard is 613,200 pesos worse off financially. For that price, he also bought himself traffic stress, maintenance headaches, and the constant risk of accidents. Ride-hailing is cheaper and comes with no depreciation, no repair bills, no parking stress, freedom to relax instead of drive. If you must own a means of transportation, you should only consider a motorcycle, and that's it. We've covered 7 costly mistakes: buying condo thinking it's investment, not understanding 40% ownership limits, family obligation underestimation, healthcare insurance mistakes, visa requirement miscalculations, bank transfer mistakes, vehicle ownership traps. Individually, these mistakes have cost expats hundreds of thousands of pesos. Collectively, they have drained over $100,000 in direct losses and wiped out millions more in retirement savings. That's a retired accountant's entire life savings, gone in 3 to 5 years from preventable mistakes. What all 7 have in common, they all ignore one truth: you need to protect your retirement first. The core protection principle: you cannot help anyone, not your partner, not her family, not yourself, if you go broke. Your retirement savings are your lifeline. Guard them ruthlessly. The non-negotiable rules. Rule number 1, rent, don't buy condos. Flexibility beats ownership. Rule number 2, never invest in Philippine businesses you can't afford to lose completely. Rule number 3, set family support budgets before emergencies arise. Rule number 4, buy health insurance while you're healthy. Age 50 to 65 is critical window. Rule number 5, get proper visa, SRRV for 40 plus, before immigration flags you. Rule number 6, use Wise/Remitly for transfers. Stop losing 3 to 7% to banks. Rule number 7, use Grab taxis instead of buying vehicles. It's actually cheaper. Philippines is an amazing place to retire. Lower costs, great weather, friendly people, rich culture. But it has financial traps that will destroy unprepared expats. The foreigners who thrive here set clear financial boundaries early, protect their retirement savings religiously, make decisions, not emotions, can afford to say no without guilt. Plan for 20 to 30 years, not just 2 to 3 years. The foreigners who go broke believe their situation is different/special. Make emotional financial decisions. Think, it won't happen to me. Don't calculate long-term costs. Let others pressure them into bad decisions. Which type will you be?